you move along. And if you're looking to upgrade and develop and become more of a stature in that industry, then continue to go down the path that makes you feel the most blessed and it makes you feel the most heard. But if
Okay.
you're not feeling blessed and you're not feeling heard and you're not feeling understood, then maybe it's time for you to reevaluate your group of people, your establishments that you maybe attend, your decisions that you're choosing to do for your life, and then understand that as long as you are here and as long as you are breathing, life should be full, life is obtainable, and life should always be taken with the most exciting passion that you have because it's the one thing that we have that we all share, you know? So, one thing that bonds everybody together. And so, know that you're not alone and know that if you want to change your mind, that's okay. But make sure it's for the rightfulness of you and not for the rightfulness of somebody else.
hmm Now, let's talk a little bit about Miss Continental. Now, where did you hear about the pageant, or did you know about the pageant from long ago?
So I actually started attending the pageant with my fiance Al in I want to say 2016, maybe 2017. It was the year Chantal was stepping down and Vanessa Van
Mhm.
Cartier was being crowned. And for me, it was not just watching the pageant, but it was also going to the baton, seeing who was there, realizing what they were talking about, seeing what won, understanding, you know, this works for this girl, but this doesn't work necessarily for the overall competition. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
really just studying what it meant to be Miss Continental because I definitely feel like everybody has their own strategy, but you have to make sure that your strategy is so fine tuned to not only please the system that you are applying for, because we all have to remember that this is a job. So you are applying for something, but you
Mhm.
also have to remember that your package has to reflect who you are and what you are able to present throughout the duration of your reign. You know, like
Mhm.
as somebody who presented a vocal talent, you know, I understand that the expectation is for me to sing a little bit at some of these prelims and at some events, and that's okay. However, I think also for me, and coming into this, I knew that I wanted to display one solid talent because I knew that there were going to be other talents to fall up behind that. And so I figured maybe that was the best way for me to plan my strategy.
Mhm. Well, it was visually beautiful,
Thank you.
and and
Thank
and,
you.
and you
Thank
were- and you
you.
were, and you were
Shout out to
looking.
Byron, my choreographer.
And,
I literally, when I tell you, so what we started with 5 weeks ago
Mhm.
is not what was displayed 2 weeks prior with
Oh,
5 rehearsals. We have 5 rehearsals.
oh my God! 5 rehearsals, and you got that.
Five.
Wow. Oh my God. Well, visually it was beautiful, and the way you presented yourself, it was just professional. It was really quality. I just say it was quality because it was something that Continental really needed. Continental's always been good, but for some reason this year there was quality. There was that substance of like, I am at something really spectacular and something special is happening tonight. And when we watched the tape, and my agent, she's a little old lady, and she sort of, she doesn't, she's all about business. But when she saw it, she was like, wow, this is great. This is great. She's beautiful. And she kept talking during the show. So I know that things were good because usually she never talks. She
Oh,
just seems
that's
to be
great.
watching. So, and she thought you were fantastic. So, I said, well, let me just reach out to you. I reached out to a few of the other ones, but they were, I think, busy or whatever at the time. So we're in no hurry to make all of this work really quick. We want this to go slow. So, um, I'm really glad that I got to meet you, Zhane,
Yes,
darling,
yes.
and
Nice to meet
Miss
you as
Continental
well.
2024. Um, so let's talk about how did you feel when you won, when they called your name?
Hmm. Well, well, first of all, my immediate thought was, did I hear that correctly? That was my first immediate thought because I was like, okay. And so I got immediately weak in the knees and I had to be like, when the girls surrounded me, that was when I was like, that was kind of the confirmation for me because it was like,
Mhm.
oh, well, this is happening. Like this has happened. But I definitely feel like it was just a lot of fine tuning, little tweaks here and there. Being the last person to qualify for the national contest, I felt like it was a lot to finish up in the last few weeks. I had been working on my package though for well over 5 years. My
Mhm.
evening gown is actually what took the longest to make. And it was a labor of love, most definitely. And so that was kind of like once that was done, I could then work on everything else. And
Mhm.
so I was like, as long as I continue to put forth at least 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half a day to making sure that I complete everything in my package, it was really a labor of hard work and dedication. Yeah, it really
Mhm.
was.
Now, you know what, it was incredible. I mean, I must say, Miss Continental this year was really good. It really was. And I
It
was
was. There were
really
a lot of great competitors.
it really was. And it was visually very beautiful. And I'm glad they got back to that. So let's talk a little bit about your journey now as you travel city to city. What is the most difficult thing that you're finding that you're being Miss Continental and traveling to these different cities? What's the most difficult thing that you're finding that you're running into? I mean, because we have all these restrictions now with COVID and all these different uprisings and strange things happening, you know, things that are happening quicker than before that are kind of concerning. And you, as Miss Continental, being on the road, do you have someone that travels with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So, what do you think? What do you think? What is the most difficult thing for you as Miss Continental being on the road?
I would say for me, it would be the missed communication.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is now that I have been bestowed such a prestigious title and knowing that it is a job and I have to bring in contestants, I am really realizing that I have to make myself known to the girls who I feel have the potential. And that is something in me as a person that I have to become more comfortable with. And I'm learning that that is something that I'm really kind of like oh, I wish I would have said something to her, or I wish I would have given her a card, or I wish I would have mentioned you should come do this contest because I see the not just the woman, but I see the charisma and I see the individuality within these people that I feel like I've missed out on. And I feel like for me, that's the biggest thing that I feel overall I'm really trying to work on
Mhm.
because I don't want to miss out on any more opportunity to see something in people that they might not necessarily see in themselves.
Hmm. Because being in this business, in the drag business, female impersonation business,
Mm-hmm.
illusion showgirl, or however the girls decide that they want to present themselves.
The plethora
Some,
of
mhm.
vocabulary.
Sometimes, they all don't. You can't all look alike. Otherwise, we wouldn't be interested in watching
Right.
the pageant or be
Absolutely.
interested in the pageant. Now, when you're on the road or on
Mm-hmm.
tour, the Miss Continental on tour, I see that that's what they're calling it. So, uh, being on tour now, you have a partner, or you married, or you just in a relationship.
I have a fiance,
Oh,
soon to
okay.
be
So,
married. Yeah.
oh, okay. So, does he travel with you?
Yes, he
It
does.
must be very difficult being on the road on tour. And well, now that you told me that he travels with you, it must be a lot easier. You must be a little bit more calm with him there.
It definitely does help, at least within these earlier months, because I know we are both under the understanding that there is going to come that point of time where, he won't be able to necessarily travel with me as often or as frequent. And,
Hmm.
I know that for somebody of my age and stature and presentation to the world, that is a very nerve wracking thing to travel the world, the country, the world, and all of those places alone. But I know that it's very helpful to know that as I am learning how to navigate all of this, that I am building more of a knowledge in how to feel more secure when I am alone. And also understanding that, like, okay, it's great to have him, but also knowing that while I'm in these places, to be making connections with people who, whether it be the promoter who's bringing me to their event, or let it be us attending some type of national walk or anything that has to do with, continental representation, making sure that there is somebody there with me at all times, that as a Black trans woman, that is a very, very, very it's a very nerve wracking thing to walk through this world alone when there isn't the option for your security or your man or your person who is that person for you, with you, to be with you. It can be very nerve wracking, but I'm learning how to navigate that, which is becoming a little bit easier.
But the good thing about this, Miss Continental, Zhane, I am just glad that such a wonderful, spirited individual like yourself has won Miss Continental. And it shows the young people out there that they too can be Miss Continental. From the fact that Jim Flint and them now are running the Miss Continental newcomer, it's a wonderful thing to show the young up and coming, maybe drag performers from RuPaul's Drag Race or the All Stars or whichever, the up and coming local queens, that they too can be Miss Continental, and that there is now a platform for them to maybe, start off small and
Mm-hmm.
then grow and to be a Miss Continental. And you're a great representation of that. I can see that you're very well balanced, and the fact that you're happy, I can see that. And that is a really good thing. Um, and I am just glad I got to meet you today and that we had this little chat. I just want to say that to our audience out there, we have Miss Continental. 2024 on today, Miss Zhane Dawlingz, on today, giving us a little bit of her journey into Miss Continental. And in closing, Zhane, what do you think? Where do you think we should go now? Because as you know, we have all these oppositions in Florida with all these pushbacks in laws and these things that are happening against our community, and especially the drag community, where it affects your livelihood and the fact that you have a sense of belonging because this is who you are. And you're in the world of entertainment, so it will affect you in the long run as well as a lot of the other performers, whether from the past and the present, how they made their livelihood and their futures of up and coming shows, up and coming Miss Continental, Showgirl shows, RuPaul's Drag Race, all these things. It'll affect all of the performers in general, including myself. I mean, I'm more of a comedian. I'm sort of, I do everything. What do you think should happen now?
I feel that the best way for us to show the political powers that we are strong and we are able to stand on our own is by being able to represent whichever your art form is of choice in the most professional and respected manner. I feel that a lot of times what ends up happening is that, they can pick on some of the representation of the art form that is not necessarily the most positive and or seen in the most positive light, which I find is a easy way to kind of say, oh, well, if this one person is doing it, then everybody else is doing it, which is not always ever the case. And I think
Mhm.
so we as a people have to understand that the only way we can be able to prove to those of us who are maybe the ones sitting at the tables that we are able to do the right thing is by being able to stand firm and stand in what is right, what is just, and actually what is going to be looked at as like, okay, this is something that my children can be in the presence of, or looked at as something that is a representation of positivity within the community.
Mhm. Now, wonderfully said. That was wonderful said. Now, I want to talk about just one more thing here, because I think it's really important. You, as a Miss Continental and representing one of the most prestigious pageants around the world and in our community, let's talk about charity
Mm-hmm.
and the insecurities within our community. And many of our communities now that are suffering with either mental illness, homelessness, which is a really big thing for the trans and marginalized people within our community, and food insecurities. These are things that are really concerning around the world, but especially for us, and especially at this time. And now, with all the challenges of the pushback laws and the fact that we're this, we are now same-sex marriage is legal in a lot of the states, and they're trying to push back. Where do you think we should go with mental illness, food insecurities, homelessness, and housing? And charity, how do we build a stronger foundation than what we're already doing? You, as Miss Continental, could spearhead, or I'm sure you have something in mind about our community and the insecurities that are really needed at this time.
I immediately always suggest for people to seek out their local resources and know that there is somebody who is out here to help you. You just have to make sure that when you're looking for them, that you're looking in the right places, and you're understanding that sometimes there are requirements that are put into place that you might not necessarily have readily available, but ask questions. Go to the people in your community who are the voices of the community and who have been doing the work for years ahead of what some of your friends or maybe even sometimes your parents might just know. Because sometimes if you go to, say, a peer or somebody in who is not necessarily a friend, but maybe somebody who is considered like a beacon of their community, those people would be the ones who would be able to then outsource you to the proper resources versus going to somebody who is going to tell you to just go sit on the couch. Because not everything always requires just sitting on a couch and telling somebody how you feel. Sometimes you have to get up and actually do something and make a change. And that can only be done by finding the light within yourself and knowing that, okay, if I want to find happiness within my vessel and within my person, then I have to get up and I have to go and ask these questions and I have to fill out paperwork. I have to get in these interviews. I have to go and see these people because that is the only way you can get out of what you were in before.
Mm-hmm. Boots on the ground, I always say. And
Amen.
my agent, she's a firm believer in that too. My agent, she always tells me, you got to get boots on the ground. I want you to start walking. I want you doing this here. I want you to find out what's what, and I want you to go see it. I want you to go see it. I want you to
and that's the beauty
it.
of when I'm at home, I host a show called Church on Sunday nights at Access Nightclub with my good sis, the reigning Miss Gay Black Ohio, Miss Ava Aurora Fox. Okay. And the beauty of being able to be on the microphone is that I feel like I'm able to create the atmosphere to be a welcoming space to people who are in need of things like that. And so I, as somebody who is on a microphone every Sunday that I am at home, I feel like I too am a part of making that change, not just within my community, but also to the people who visit from out of town and who come and bring their friends and families. So I think it's really about finding those people who are able to give you those resources, which it's a really big thing. And I'm really happy that you asked that question because finding your resources and understanding how to tap in your resources is by far one of the most important things that any person can do for themselves. Because you never know how many people are just willing to open the door for you. You just don't know, and so a lot of blessings can come by opening your mouth. Like they say, closed mouths don't get fed.
That's
so if
right.
You're not saying nothing and you're not speaking up and you're not getting the information that you need, you're not going to be able to feed yourself. You're not going to be able to maneuver through this world because you're going to feel like you're always without.
It's wonderful that you said that. And, especially in the Black community, we really have a hard time with asking for what we need. And it's a good thing that they have young people like yourself, Miss Continental, Zhane, Dawlingz, to now look up to and to sort of help guide them in that direction. And it's a wonderful thing that we have a lot of the girls now talking openly about the kitchen doctors with silicone. It's great that we have them now talking more positive about these things, that they're now seeking real doctors in real time to look after them, to help them through their journey in life. And with you as a young individual, and I like the fact that you had your mother there from the beginning that helped you with your journey. And this is great that, especially being a Black person and coming from, our community, we have someone that looks like us.
Yes.
Talking to us. So this is an amazing thing. So I wanted to say thank you to Miss Continental on the show today. She has really been fabulous and she has enlightened us on a lot